I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm just going to call you because I know you.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
think
this, I
that was
can't.
actually a Dean Johnson detail because we had Dean Johnson, Dean,
Yeah.
remember Dean Johnson, the
Yeah. Oh, I
master of,
do. I do. Yep.
I think that was actually one of his details. That's funny. I will get to it, Dom. I
No,
apologize.
don't worry. We're working through it. The problem is like we basically took the detail and it's their standard detail. So we just put it on the plans and now they're building it. And we're like, wait a minute. like, it's brownstone, but what kind, what is the depth? And it's just little nuances.
Gotcha.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. Back to schedule here. Janice, thank you for joining. You are all sworn in and we don't have to worry about doing that anymore. Just before we get started, we are down to 3 members today. We had 2 cancellations. We should be at 5 on a full board, but 3 is our minimum. So in the event that I can't make a meeting, and other people can't make it, we're just going to have to confirm right before the meeting to make sure we have a minimum of 3 for a quorum. So we're good to go. So with that being said, we will call to order the August 23rd Connecticut State Board of Landscape Architects meeting to order at 9:33. So we were all given our board packet that we should have had a little bit of time to review. First thing on the meeting agenda is to review the meeting minutes of our May 16th, 2023 board meeting. I did review them, and I guess one comment I'm going to have to make, not specifically on the meeting minutes, because we know we've had, let's see, as from staff level at DCP, we've had a couple different people now who have jumped in and helped us out and tried to put meeting minutes together and put agendas together. So I think we were in a position where we were used to getting meeting minutes a certain way and we were used to getting agendas a certain way, but because staff has changed a little bit, that's fine. We're going to sort of move with it and be flexible. But I think as far as we move through this agenda today, I think we're going to have to rely on those meeting minutes from our May meeting a little bit. And then maybe as we move into our next meeting, we can work with staff to try and figure out what we have to show as far as old business and new business on our new meeting agendas. So a lot of moving parts, but I think we're going to be fine getting through this meeting today. And that's something that we'll just have to take care of. I don't know, Dom, I don't know if you noticed that, but
Yeah. Yep.
the
Yeah, I
agenda
was gonna make a comment.
the agenda was pretty light as far
Yeah.
as old business and stuff like that. But I think it's just a detail and we'll get through it and
Yep.
figure out a way to do it. But as far as the May 16th meeting minutes, does Janice or Dom have any comments on that?
I do not. I would just love to offer out a comment about the fact that we use Fathom. I don't know if you're familiar with that software on a Zoom and other things. And what it does is it records the meeting and it writes an AI, using AI, artificial intelligence. It writes a summation that's pretty damn good. And you get a complete transcript and a video, but you also get a very nice summation from it. We've been finding it to be incredibly useful, even if we're not producing the minutes. It's a great, accurate record to double check what happened in the meeting. And it's relatively inexpensive software, and you just turn it on when you start the meeting, and it does everything for you.
I think that's a fair point. I think we right now we're relying on Department of Consumer Protection and staff to do it. So I know you guys are listening in. So note that one as a potential opportunity and maybe a time saver.
Yes.
Thanks, Janice. But as far as the meeting minutes, no comments. Dom?
No, none. Nope.
Okay, so hearing no comments, somebody want to make a motion to approve those meeting minutes of May 16th?
Motion to
Seconded. I
approve.
seconded.
All in favor, please say
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, so meeting minutes, May 16th are approved. Moving to number 2, comments or concerns of any person present today. I believe as far as non-DCP members on the meeting today, I think John Lucy is attending. probably wanting to know what's going on. He did attend and he did submit additional information regarding his licensure. I think we're going to cover that one under old business, unless, John, you have anything you would like to add. And you are muted.
I don't think I'm muted any longer, so I hope I've provided the board with all the information you require.
Okay, thank you, and we'll get to you after our DCP investigation report. So with no comments or concerns of any person, new comments or concerns of any person present today, we will move to number 3, DCP investigation complaint status report.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, board members. Janita Hamill, Supervising Special Investigator for Occupational Professional Enforcement for Investigations Division. For the report, that's the two-month reporting periods that I've had between your last meeting and today. For the period from April 1st, 2023 through May 31st of 2023, we did not receive any new landscape architect complaints, and we did not close any landscape architect complaints. For the second 2-month period, beginning June 1st of 2023 through August 30th of 2023, we had not received any new landscape architect complaints, and we have not closed any landscape architect complaints. And as a general rule, and we've discussed this before, we don't normally get a lot of landscape architect complaints. We don't get a lot of regular engineering complaints either. The bulk of the complaints from the professional side is regular architect complaints and land surveyor complaints. So,
It's interesting.
you know, yeah, those are the bulk. And a lot on the architect side is for misuse of the term, the professional term.
Mhm.
People claiming that they're an architect or they're engaging in architectural services when they're not a licensed architect.
Mhm.
And then on the land surveying side, it's a lot of times it ends up being a neighbor versus a neighbor because a neighbor had a land surveyor come in. Oh, the stakes are on my side of the property. They're stealing my land. No, sorry, that's a civil matter. You have to go to court for that. We'll try to investigate it, mediate it and stuff, and it ends up that it's a licensed surveyor and it ends up being a civil matter. But if you or any of your board members have a question, feel free
Good.
to ask.
Good, and I thank you for being very thorough on your explanation, even though there isn't a lot. We have had some, and I think it's
Yes, yes, we
similar
have.
to calling yourself a landscape architect without having a license. So for Janice's
Yes.
purposes, I think she probably could understand that we don't get a lot of complaints. However, that one has come up,
Yes,
a few
in the
times.
past.
Right.
Mr. Chairman,
right.
you are absolutely right. And yes, and it again, it a lot of times it's misuse of the term. I'll call myself a landscape architect. I'm not licensed at all. So we do get some. They're not a lot, but Mr. Chairman is right. We have had some. It's not that we don't ever get any, it's that we don't get a lot.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And I'm actually glad we don't have anything on the horizon or that you found in the last couple months. The one item that was under 3 in our last meeting in May, we did talk about the board continuing to hear about the problem with a handful of state towns and that our own DOT not accepting the landscape architecture stamp. We did talk about that under this item at our last meeting. And I believe that I said that the plan is we have a letter from a past state board chair of landscape architecture, Vince McDermott, that we have used as a sort of a reference. I think it originally went out as a mailer, I think, to all Connecticut municipalities, just stating the fact that, yeah, landscape architects actually can stamp a site plan for incidental grading and drainage. What I said I would do was to update that letter, sign it as the new board chair or the acting board chair, because it's been 15 years or so, I think, since that letter was originally written. I did do that, so I have a new letter. I'm going to
No, go ahead.
I'm going to send that letter out just internally, DCP, the attorney side of things, because obviously that last
Yes.
letter was on state of Connecticut letterhead. So it's a draft Word document, updated letter. I will send it internally to this group for a review, and maybe we'll have an updated thing that we can reference, at least when we get practicing landscape architects. If they make that complaint formally, at least we'll have a nice updated 2023 letter that all we can do is reference the law. I don't think we can force towns and municipalities or the DOT to accept it. Although I think a lot of us wish we could. At least we'll have an updated. So that is, I will send that out to this group internally for a review, and hopefully we can push that through.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I think for guidance on that, it wouldn't come from myself as the supervisor for enforcement.
Right.
I believe you would want to talk to either Cynthia Fernandez from DCP Legal or Ryan Burns from DCP Legal.
Yeah, what I'm going to do, because we've had a lot of changing faces and names at the staff level, I'm going to just put that back out there to the board. Will be on it, and all the people that I have now, because it's been a little confusing with new people. So I appreciate your comment. I'm going to put it out there, and hopefully it'll get to the right person.
Okay, not a problem, sir.
All right.
Do you or any of the other board members have any additional questions? No?
Okay.
No, thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Then I'm going to wish you all a wonderful end of the summer season and Labor Day weekend. Enjoy, rest, and I will see you at your next meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, item 4 on our agenda is old business. And I just want to revisit it from our May 14th meeting minutes, just to make sure what we understood. And Dom, you may have a question for this, just to make sure that it's continuing to move forward as far as
Correct.
clarifications of the statute versus the regulations.
Yep.
So
I'll bring it up. Yeah, I mean, we said that we submitted to OPM. I'm just wondering what the next steps are, and obviously the interpretation was made at our last meeting under old business. I think it stays under old business. I mean, is there a response that comes back from OPM? That's what I'd like to know, because, and then I think we need to educate CLARB that that's the case, so they understand that, it's 2 years and then they can sit for the exam. So we don't get, we're gonna, wait till new business. You'll see what I'm talking about. So I just think we need an update on that, or keep it on old business, because, if it's clarified, I don't know how that works. If it goes to OPM, does it have to be, it's the regulation that we changed. I don't know if that has to go through some sort of approval process, but.
yeah, so maybe I can ask at the DCP level here, who is actually in charge of putting the meeting minutes together currently? I say that with a little bit of a smile, because I'm not 100% sure. I think I know that it's Ms. Heiberg, but is that true?
Yes, hi everybody. I am the new board coordinator. Here, I'll put my camera on just in case you can see me. Hi everybody.
Hey there.
So I'm the new board coordinator here, so I will be the person that is handling all of the minutes, agendas, and everything coming out
Okay.
moving forward. So
All right, well, thank you. And I guess the comment earlier on when we started the meeting was sometimes under the new agenda, we like to at least have some sort of like old business, or if there's a little bit more information rather than just that item saying old business, if there's some things that we didn't take care of, specifically like, oh, update on where the statute versus regulation clarification is, just as a reminder for us to say, oh yeah, that's what we had on the old business, rather than just having to go back to the old meeting minutes. And we just got used to seeing it that way, and I think it made a little sense. So
yeah, no problem.
totally
Yeah, I
understand.
mean, I just started at the end of July, so I'm kind of,
Right.
getting,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
obviously being in the meetings moving
Yeah.
forward will kind of help with that as well too. So
Great,
Absolutely.
great. So
Okay.
when we say these things, we're just sort of putting them out there to say,
no
hey,
worries.
see if we can do that.
I'm still learning too, so it helps to hear some feedback from you guys too. So I appreciate
Okay.
it.
So is there anybody else on the call that could provide a little information based upon Dom's question of where it stands?
I don't believe anybody else is on the call with us, unfortunately. So unless
Okay.
Maggie is possible if she would have any input, but I can certainly I'll reach out to and see. Jay might have a little bit more information as to who I could reach out to kind of get things
Right.
moving for you guys too. So
So as
Yeah,
far
'cause-
as old business, next meeting minutes, we'll just say, we're looking for the update on where it stands. That would be
yep, I'll
awesome.
have that in there
And
for
then,
you guys.
and then moving forward, I mean, I don't know if it had to be approved or it just had to be made official. That's what I'm looking for. And then once we do that, we can start to discuss, obviously, making CLARB aware, making ASLA aware, maybe even it's something, because I know on the website you go in there and it's still the old way. And that's what concerns me, is people are going to keep applying and, oh, I can graduate in June, I can take the exam in July. And that's not the case.
Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Lucy, we're not going to keep him under old business. We're going to move into new business, and new business is where we're going to take care of and usually on our agenda, the new business is where we list the actual applications that we need to review, which makes it a little bit easier for us to run through them. But
Did you guys see the final agenda that was sent out in that link last week that had
Oh,
has
did
all
it?
of the it has all the applications.
Gotcha. Okay, just opened that one back up. So I was probably going off the draft.
Yeah, the draft gets sent out earlier so everyone can kind of have some input, and then that final gets sent out, so everything should be on the final agenda.
Right. So if everybody is on board with whether we do it under old business or new business, I think the first one we should talk about is Mr. Lucy, because he is on the call, and he was on our May meeting call. He did explain that he was having difficulty tracking down and verifying his experience and his transcript since the May meeting. If you guys have reviewed the information, he did give us quite a bit of explanation, and not for lack of attempts to verify his experience. And then he also did track down and did submit his transcript. So all those things have been submitted by Mr. Lucy, as well as his passing exam grades. So with him on the phone and us being the board, having reviewed all that stuff, do we have any further questions for Mr. Lucy? And just to verify, he has filed an actual application for licensure, correct? And I guess that goes to
Yes, I
Rachel.
have.
Okay,
I have, and I hope that that is going through with this, with the department.
Yeah, that would actually be with me. And yes, he did submit an application for licensure.
Okay. And I got to refresh my memory. I did read through his information. I had a question. Is this an initial or is this a reinstatement?
This is initial, I believe.
That's correct.
Okay.
I have one question for Mr. Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Lucy, have you been continuously employed in the landscape field since you were at Lynch's?
Yes, I have been. I was working as a specifier and a plant buyer for a private landscape installation company.
Okay.
And currently, I'm working in an engineering office, doing plan work for industrial, as well as commercial properties.
And you're working with Glenn Martin, huh?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I worked
Yeah,
with Glenn
and I think
in the past.
I think we did talk at our last meeting. I am in receipt of a letter from Glenn Martin, licensed landscape architect, just sort of discussing Mr. Lucy's experience and qualifications. So that is part of the record. I think it was part of the last meeting. So before we move on to the other ones, I think it may make more sense to, if we don't have any further questions, that we take a vote on Mr. Lucy's application to move it forward. So if someone would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we move Mr. Lucy's application forward, based on the information that he's provided in both of the first meeting, our last meeting and this meeting, a positive LARE score, background information on his transcript from Cornell, and also his experience that he's given forward to the board, along with that letter from Glenn Martin that you have in your possession.
You're muted, Janice.
There you
Yeah,
go, Janice.
I seconded. Anyone who has spent this amount of time and has this amount of experience in the landscape field,
Yep.
hats
Thank you.
off to you. You deserve to
Great.
be licensed.
So all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, and there will be none opposed. And Mr. Lucy, thank you very much. Number one, I know attending these meetings, sometimes it's hard to get people who have interests or concerns to attend. Thank you for attending both of them. Thank you for giving us the additional information, and congratulations.
Thank you very much for your time today.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. We have 3 new applications licensing by written examination. They are Kurt Petsky, Sarah Dorner, and Justin Quinn. I did review all of them. Did everybody else have a chance to take a look at them? If you haven't, you can.
Yes, I have.
I have as well.
Okay, anyone have any questions, comments?
I have a question on process for approvals. We have a quorum of 3, so point of order, if majority rule, correct? So if you guys vote in the positive, or 2 vote in positive, 1 vote in the negative, it still passes, correct?
I'm
Doesn't
gonna
have to
say,
be, doesn't have to be all of us, correct? You know where I'm going with this. I hope.
yeah, you're going with the transcript
Yes.
on one of them?
Yes. No, I'm going with taking the test right after they graduated.
Agreed. Agreed.
And I understand that they don't know that, given the information that was provided to them by the state of Connecticut and by CLARB. But I'd like to not set the precedent anymore, since we have a determination that hasn't been accepted by OPM yet. And I mean, I don't have a problem moving the person forward, but I don't think it should be unanimous.
Well, here's my
That's the
take on
problem.
it. Here's my take on it. I
Yep.
don't think we can penalize an applicant based upon the state not being
Correct.
100% clear. It's just it's
I
not
agree.
fair. I know that's
I
not
agree.
a, that's
I
not a
agree
real
with you.
technical term, but to me, it's just not fair and ethical to
Well,
punish an applicant.
I'm in agreement. That's why I'm torn. I think the person should pass, but I think there should be one no vote on it, just because, you know, we can say that everything, but it's up to the applicant to understand the review process. And if you read it, they don't understand it. That's fine, but, I don't know. It's just, it's bothersome.
This is how I'd rather do it. I would rather make a statement in our meeting minutes on the record,
Okay.
that when we get final determination or clarification on
Mhm.
the statutes versus regulation, that it be made very clear somewhere, somehow, to all applicants, which all applicants get reviewed, they come in through DCP,
Yep.
that they are made very aware if
Well, herein
this is the clarification.
Herein lies the rub with me. Number one, I've been asking for this for over 2 years.
Mhm.
This has been going on for 2 years. I don't care if people rotate in and out of this. I understand it. I'm going to kind of be a hardline person. We're nominated to protect the health, safety, and welfare of individuals in the state. And if circumventing the law because the regulation was written by somebody in Hartford who didn't really understand or interpret it correctly is not on us. It's on them. I agree with you. Number two, um, we need to notify Clark. Like that has to happen as soon as we understand that if it's,
Correct.
I'm a little unsure of the process. It's going to OPM for what reason? So they can rewrite the reg. If we already have a decision that was given to us, it should be given to Clark and the light should be shined, because how much longer are we going to continue to do this? This was brought to light within the first 2 or 3 weeks, when I brought somebody with a certificate through, and that was a long time ago. So that's my only concern, is making sure, because, and we can go in, I think we have to do these individual because, and I hate to say that, it's gonna take a little more time, but this is another one of these where the person doesn't work in Connecticut, does not live in Connecticut, did not go to school in Connecticut, but yet they're getting licensed in Connecticut. For what reason? Because it's easier. And that is a direct threat to our licensure in this state based on reciprocity with other states. I really strongly feel that. So we need to understand and make sure. So I don't have a problem approving it. I understand this person did everything correctly. When you go online and you look at the state of Connecticut's website, they did everything right. So I don't have a problem with that, but we definitely need to have something in the meeting minutes that we're doing this either under duress or under the understanding that this has to change.
Yeah, I don't think we can, although we can we can make an assumption. That's a very dangerous word, that they're coming here because it's easier.
Yeah.
What we want, I couldn't agree more, that
Well, to get
following the way it's written, they have to come to us. We give them permission to take the exam.
Correct.
I think we're 100% on board
Correct.
that's it.
Yep.
I think we do have to make a notification of CLARB. I know that the member board executive is the right person to make that determination. They have the direct contact. I mean, I can make CLARB aware, but it really, that member board executive position at the DCP level, which I believe is Rachel. Are you technically the member board executive?
So I can help coordinate. I mean, for this, it definitely seems like it needs to go to legal, so I can certainly pass this along to the legal division, just to see if we can get some movement on here. I don't really make any decisions per se in that with that goes, but I can certainly kind of push the right people to look into this a little bit sooner.
Yeah, and you can sort of sense the frustration on Dom's
Absolutely.
side. That, just to be clear, what it says is that any applicant needs to come before the board, show that they meet the education and experience, and then we say, okay, great, thank you. Go sit for the exam and come back when you have the exam passed for your full application. It took a while to actually figure that one out. But that's what it says. And I want to say maybe 1 out of 10, maybe not even that many, actually go that way.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I
one
would
way
recommend probably a special meeting too, so we can get something. I'll get in contact with the legal division here too, and see if we can coordinate a meeting for
At the
everyone to get
last,
together
yeah, at the
before.
last meeting, we were provided that document. I don't know, I'm opening it right now. I grabbed it right when it came out. I don't know who made this determination, but it's this one-page document that, it's a landscape architecture license revision. I don't know if it went to OPM. I'd like to know if it went to OPM, and if it hasn't, it should go to OPM as it was discussed in the last meeting. And it basically, it's a clarification of the regulation. And once that clarification is once everyone is saying, okay, it is clarified like this, then we can send this clarification out. It's a one-page document and it should go out.
It should go to CLARB, I mean, basically.
Correct, yeah.
It should go to CLARB, and it should go to every applicant when they either call to inquire about application, email, or submit an application. It's almost like this should be, up, here you go, here's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Can I say something? This process, and there's people in my office going through it, is so streamlined and simple. As opposed to when I had to go to a couple of meetings in Hartford, appear in person, work through a lot of arcane issues, and the exam, you couldn't take it at home on a Sunday, any of that. I mean, it's a pretty easy process. So I think that if anyone's skipping any steps, that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, this is not, I mean, if they have to appear before us and take a couple of extra steps before they get licensed, I have no problem with that. The one question I do have, though, is what makes us easier than the state that they were trying to get licensed, that they should get licensed in?
And that's a whole separate conversation, and I brought it up under frustration, and I can have a sidebar with you guys and explain that to you. But
Okay,
fact of the matter is, the nomenclature on the state is given to CLARB, and I mean, I'm not going to blame CLARB. They took the nomenclature that's on the state website. So when people go to apply for an exam, like when I talk to people in my office about applying for exam, I'm like, go to CLARB, and it's very easy. They show you the process. I mean, you can do it without the council record. You don't have to have the council record, but you have to take their exam. But when you click on their states and everything, it tells you 2 years experience. It tells you, accredited degree or the alternate path. And it also tells you, degree, time, and exam, three-legged stool. The problem is it doesn't tell you anywhere that you have to wait 2 years. Our state statute, our law says you have to practice under a landscape architect for 2 years. Then you are qualified to sit for the exam. And that's what's getting circumvented, is practicing for 2 years and then sitting. So it's not anyone's fault. And the thing is, when you start looking at New York or Massachusetts, those are the two that I've focused on, even Rhode Island. The time is more called out. There's more stringent rules and hoops you have to jump through, especially in our sister states. And what I always get concerned about is reciprocity through the state of Connecticut, and that's a whole different issue. But we have to deal with, and Marcus kept it in our focus. That's why he's the chairman, is how do we make sure that we're basically mentoring or stewards of the rules that are actually on the books.
Yep.
I couldn't agree more. I don't think anybody should get licensed who hasn't worked for a minimum of 2 years.
No, and
that's the way
that
it's written.
wouldn't happen. Here it is in simple. I'm glad we're talking about this because it's nice to bring Janice up to speed on sort of what Dom's been banging his head against the wall. It puts our board in a very precarious situation on denying licensure when somebody comes to us and says, well, I got my 2 years of experience, I passed the exam, and I have my education. So what we've done, Dom, what we've done in the past is we sort of ignore the fact that they didn't come to us and follow the technical process and say, so now they're coming to us and they have all 3 legs of the stool saying, oh, this is going to be easy. We still take our time. And if we have questions about their transcript, if we have questions about their experience, we ask the questions. And it has come to the point where some people have had to supply us with additional information, even though they've passed the exam. What would be so much easier for us and take less pressure off of us is if they were to come to us with the education and the experience, and we'd be able to ask those questions, straighten that all out, so that when they come back to us with a passing exam, it's a no-brainer. Right now,
Right.
it's flat out weird when we have questions about their education or experience and they've already passed the exam.
I remember it being very clear that without the experience, you couldn't even take the exam.
Well,
it used-
somewhere or another, we lost that.
Yeah,
clarity.
it used to be, Janice, when I took it, it was very clear. And that's kind of what I noticed. I'm like, did we change the law? And I'm like, we didn't.
Can't
So-
even sit. I remember not being able to sit for the exam without the experience component.
Yeah, I mean, I had to make sure that I was 2 years, over the 2 years, 2 months. I was calculating time to make sure that I could sit for the exam.
And that's the same in most professions, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I have 2 people in my family trying to pass the board exam, for a law, become an attorney in
Yep,
California.
the bar, yep.
Pass the bar exam. And I mean, you have to jump I mean, it's a serious process.
Yeah.
So if we could, Rachel, on our meeting minutes, if we could have a specific item, I guess it would fall under old business, maybe under new business, is that the board is asking specifically for support from DCP on how we can make our process more clear. And this may be who at DCP or who at the board or who's going to reach out to CLARB and make that clarification known. How do we go about making this as clear as possible to potential candidates? Because that's really what we're looking at, is we want to make it very clear, like Janice just said. Oh, well, I knew that when I went through that I had to have my experience.
And I think we should realize that the lawyers were the ones that reviewed that document that was given to us at the last meeting. Legal gave us that opinion, and what is the process? Is it going to OPM and then it's finalized? Is it, what's this time
Yep.
frame on this? I'd like it to be time bound at this point as best we can. Does it need to go back to the legislature? I don't no idea. I don't think it does, but
Yeah.
I don't know how this all works. I know we revised it a few years ago and we approved whatever input they gave us, and I want to just make sure it's clear and concise. And the biggest thing is just getting to them. I don't think it's out of line that says we have an opinion, whether OPM accepts it or not. The opinion is already stated that it's the 3-legged stool. Maybe it's a conversation to give CLARB a heads up. Hey, listen, you just make people aware, because most 90% of the people are going through CLARB. They're not going to do the
and we
alternate
know
path to licensure.
CLARB has the map, and Connecticut is you're either green, yellow, or red on the
Correct.
licensure map of
Yep.
the US and whatever other provinces or what they
Yes.
have is, and Connecticut is green, meaning you can take the test whenever you want to take the test.
Yeah, if there's something documented that, that's the piece that I'm missing, obviously not having been in this for the 2 years, that's been a concern. But if there's something, I can relay that to CLARB and I could update our webpage
So,
and I
Rachel,
can change
yeah,
our
you need-
applications.
This
You
was the
need to get this
document
letter that we got.
This was the document
Yeah.
from our last meeting that was presented to us, and it says landscape architecture licensure revision. And I don't think it isn't. It's a clarification, but examination licensure, and the underlines is have completed 2 years practical experience landscape architecture under direct supervision of landscape architect prior to application for the LIRE, and then they complete it.
Yep.
So they kind of, and then they give the statement of purpose down here that they're trying to align it with the general statute section. So you have this, it's in from the last meeting that we had. It's in that file that was sent, or, I mean, I grabbed it as soon as it came out, and I don't download a lot of the stuff, but I downloaded this, so I have it.
Yeah, it was nice to see that we finally got it. I mean, that was nice. And it goes back to, now we have 3 applications
Correct. Yes.
in front of us. That, I mean, we got some options, right? You can say, nope, didn't follow process. We can deny it and say,
Yeah.
nope, go to another state. We can do Dom's sort of protest negative, 1 no vote, which, is there anyone who can give us clarification on is it majority 2-1, or does it have to be a 3-0 vote? I believe if you have a quorum, it's majority rules. It's 2-1.
I think it is too.
But boy, it does, the only thing I worry about is if for some reason it's not majority rules and we go the 2-1 vote, even though they do meet the 3 pillars, do we set ourselves up for some type of legal action?
I mean, we haven't discussed them individually. We haven't discussed which ones are which, but I mean, reading through all 3, this is a generalization. I'm fine with all 3. On one of them, I would like to make a comment with it that goes in the record, and that's kind of clearly stating that we're approving it with the understanding that there was some process issues on the state's end that are we can approve it based on that process.
Okay.
However, based on the state statute, they should be waiting. And then we have to have a conversation because we're going to be until we get out in front of this issue. We're going to see more and more of these in the next. We meet every once a quarter, so we could
Yeah.
see 5 more next. Or someone catches when, oh, I'm going to get in quick because I need to get this thing approved. I'm not saying that's the case, but we got to have some sort of scheduled, timeline on it, and B, if there are ones after that, well, how do we handle it? We have to have some sort of guidance to say, okay, when we have someone who
Correct.
comes back for reinstatement, we usually require 24 credits of CEUs, plus a fine of some sort to reinstate. Well, if you went through the process in Pigs Knuckle, Arkansas, and you moved to Connecticut, and now you want to apply to Connecticut, yes, you have to play by our rules, but you already started taking the exam. Okay, well, you have to wait an extra year. Something. I don't know what it is, but we have to have a way of balancing the statute and fairness to all applicants. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Yeah, going through the CLARB website, they just like, if you have a degree in landscape architecture, I just checked a bunch of jurisdictions, start the examination registration process.
Yeah.
And then the pages are blank, and not found when you go to the state. On 3 that I checked.
Yeah.
So we have there, I think maybe, and I don't mean to speak out of turn, I'm not educated on this, but on our own website, we need to just post it now.
Yeah.
We get to, right? I mean, like, who's going to stop us? They're not even checking this stuff. This CLARB, from my memory of them, is completely, very difficult to, if just on our website, we just change it, and at least give people a heads up.
Yeah,
Right?
it's almost like it should be the blinking yellow page on our page,
Yeah,
on our website.
I mean, that's our requirement, and people should know, because CLARB certainly isn't going to tell them that.
Well, I think CLARB can tell them that if directed to tell them. There are some things that CLARB can make changes.
Yeah, CLARB can definitely. They have a process by which if we make them aware of it, they're going to change their piece.
Yep.
They're into trying to get as many people licensed, but they're also into understanding fairness. So, the CLARB has come a long way.
Yeah.
I was, I got licensed without a CLARB council record back in the Stone Age when we used to draw on the exams and whatnot. So I understand that. Yeah. So I understand where they're coming from, but I also think that we need to clean up our own house too. And we need to make sure, I think the biggest question here is the process moving forward, making sure that that's accepted. And even if it's not accepted, I don't know, we can talk with our members at the state here. Can we get this on the website to say, hey, listen, this is what it is? And I know they're probably gonna have to get back to us on that, but that's okay. Let's just move it forward.
So I think we should make the comment. So when we pull these applications up, the 3 of them majority rule is applicable here. Okay, good.
Yes.
So when we have each individual application,
Majority rule is applicable today.
Someone will make the motion, someone will second, and then we'll have a little discussion. We'll get the comment on the record, and then we can vote. I think for Rachel's purposes on these meeting minutes, again, you can see the importance of this. So I think we are requesting that, where is this clarification sit? It's got submitted to OPM. What are we doing? Because what we want to have eventually, sooner than later, is a clarification on process. This can be a 3-bulleted item that is the first thing that hits somebody when they go on the website to fill out an application in the state of Connecticut. It should just say, here's the process. If you don't meet it, go to Rhode Island, go to New York, go to Massachusetts.
Right.
But
Just go
here's our
somewhere else.
process.
Yeah.
If you have questions, come and talk to us. That's fine. But it's very, very important, and we have to keep this in our meeting minutes, and we got that letter at our last meeting, or that, whatever that was, the clarification. Where does it sit? How does that become finalized? Who are we waiting for? And then,
And at this point, it is homework, and I don't like assigning homework to any of you guys on the line from the state, but like, it's got to follow up. We have to have resolution hopefully by the next meeting. So that means it has to, if we have to have a special meeting before that, so be it. But we need to move forward past this item.
Mhm.
so Rachel, did you get all that?
She's on mute.
Sorry, I'm trying to get on mute. I have that all down, so I'm certainly gonna, once the meeting wraps up, I'll have this all sent out and get in contact with legal and everyone that I
Okay.
can think of to get this
Do
moving
you,
for you,
do
okay?
you have access to the minutes from, I mean, it was the same type of thing. We downloaded them from like this whatever. this
Yeah,
SC.
I can get into that and see and find the letter too, so.
Okay.
Okay, moving forward, let's do Dorner first,
Mhm.
just because that was the first one.
Mhm.
Are there any questions regarding the 3 E's: education, experience, and exam?
On this one, the exam was taken right after graduation.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, I don't have any issue with the education. It's an accredited institution.
Mm-hmm.
Great background in arts, which is always nice to see. Not required,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously they have the 2 years, albeit the exam was taken within the 2 years.
Mhm.
Janice?
I agree.
Okay,
And
so
it seems to be a good review of her, from her employer.
So I will make the motion that we approve this applicant with a note. I don't know where this note goes, but with it, so we're approving it with a note that the exam was taken prior to board authorization to sit for the exam.
Mhm.
Does anybody want to revise that motion? I just
Yeah,
wanted to
give me-
get it out there so we can hack it
Yeah.
right now.
Give me a second. I'm trying to find my, I have like 3 screens and I've got things everywhere. Hold on. I'm going to put a little less tooth to it in
Okay.
terms of, I'm going to say that, I would re-edit it to say that the exam had been taken before the completion of the 2 years of practical experience under the direct supervision of a landscape architect, which was supposed to be due prior to application for the exam.
So does
Kind
the
of
motion,
aligns more with the text.
yeah. So the motion, you want to make a new motion here? So I would just say,
No,
Dom,
actually, if you make the motion and it's seconded, then we can discuss it, and then I can actually amend it if we're following Robert's rules. I think we are.
Yes, we go ahead and.
So you made a
second
motion to
amendment.
approve. I'll second it, and then you have discussion. And my
Okay.
discussion would be to amend yours
okay,
to have it say, we're approving the applicant's application for licensure. However, we wanted it called out that they had completed the LARE or whatever they're calling it now. I don't even know if it's Uniform National Exam, UNE, whatever. Within the 2 years of practical experience required prior to taking the exam. That's probably jumbled a little bit, but I think you guys understand what I'm talking about.
Rachel will clean it up.
Yeah.
So with that discussion,
And an amendment.
and Dom's amendment, Are we ready to take a vote?
I think so.
Okay. All those in favor on approval of Sarah Dorner's application for licensure, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Dorner passes. All right, next one. Peshke. Kurt Peshke. Okay, do we have any discussion on his materials?
He got his master's in architecture.
Looks that way, yes.
He took the exam recently, but he's been working for a decent amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like he's been working on the direct supervision.
Mhm.
He meets all the criteria. For the record, I remind you, this is an alternate path, so it's 4 years, but I think he's got 13
Yeah.
under
Yeah.
KMD, so I'm not too worried about that one. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't consider this in the positive.
Janice?
I agree. I couldn't agree more. 13 years under Cape Architect with an architecture degree.
Yep. Anybody want to make a motion? I will.
Aye.
I will make a
Sorry.
motion that we approve Kurt Peshke's application.
Second it. Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Janice, aye.
She gave an
Aye.
aye, yeah.
Aye. None opposed. Okay, his passes. Next one is Quinn. Justin Quinn. Any discussion?
I could say a word or two about him.
Floor is yours.
Yeah, first of all, I worked under Dixon, who used to write the exam and was the toughest employer out there for years. Trained one of my people who's basically an engineer. And I'd like to thank him, on the record for his service. So I feel this is a very qualified applicant.
Then we will let you make the motion.
Yeah, he was a Marine and he served. And so I appreciate that. And I make the motion to approve.
I'll second. All those in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Quinn is approved.
Just as a sidebar, I think it's good that these guys they're all getting in under the gun as Clark changes the exam to, 2013 to 2023. Wow. I don't know if I would, I don't know if I would go back and sit for the exam if I took 10 years off. Wow.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Okay, so we got through those 4 technically with Lucy.
Yep.
The licenses for waiver, we do not have to take action on. Those are reciprocity.
Mhm.
Applications for corporate licensure, we don't have any, which is interesting. We usually have 1 or 2. Item 6, correspondence. The correspondence we received was additional information that we had talked about for Mr. Lucy. And then 7, any additional comments or concerns of any person present today? And I think just checking the.
And Mr. Lucy stayed on for the entire thing. I thank you.
Yeah,
you can see how the process works.
He gets a gold star. He gets a gold star.
Does. He absolutely does.
Wow. As a sidebar for comments, I think we're getting more robust. Did we ever get a determination on our other lay person position that was trying to be filled? And
so we do have 1 public member. She could not make it. She did reach out quite a while ago.
The other one got a determination, right? The other person that we were trying to get on, did he get a determination? Because I will go back to ASLA and ask them
that was
for other candidates.
Was that the guy from Stonehenge? No.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was.
So Rachel, can I put this on you for, another thing that the board is looking, to understand is we have another public member that we know I'm pretty sure was approved as our sixth member of our board.
Yeah.
But yet we have not, I don't believe they've been notified and they have
Yep.
not been invited to a meeting yet.
Okay, yeah, I'll get that updated. Do you have a name perhaps?
I want to say it was his last name Woods?
Yeah,
Hold on.
could be. You might be onto it.
Hold on a second. Can you bear with me one
Okay.
second?
I can do some
Um,
digging too. I just
It was a public member though. So we're getting closer after years and years and years of work.
Oh, it's my goal to have all 7 filled.
Yes.
Bill Barlow. Let me see here. We got here.
So,
Governor's Art.
While Dom is looking, just some additional comments. I mentioned it before, but just to get them on the record, I did amend the Vince McDermott letter just about the landscape acceptance of the landscape architecture licensure stamp. I will send that out to this group. Hopefully we can push that through and get a new letter on state letterhead. And then I also did reach out to Jill Desamini, who is the new LA director chair at UConn, something like that.
Yep.
As far as getting back up there, getting this board a forum in which sort of to talk about licensure. We do have a presentation from Clarb that hopefully will be modified, maybe that we can run through. And at this point, it'll be our board will be invited to go up there, and it's just a matter of locking down the date and whether it's for the professional practice class or whether it's for just a separate invite of the landscape architectural students, just to sort of discuss what the heck we do and all about licensure. That should hopefully will happen in both the fall and the spring.
Steve Woods is the name of the
There it
gentleman.
is.
And his name he is Stonehenge. I guess that's his.
Stonehenge Landscaping, I think.
Yes. And then I may have another one that we may end up applying for, but I'll go through the channels on that one.
Okay.
One other comment, and then I brought it up and I was lax in saying, I actually had the opportunity, in our business, we bump into each other from time to time, and I had the opportunity to talk to an entire studio that's not my studio that, is in the Boston area. And I asked a question because I noticed 2 of the individuals had got their licensure through Connecticut. And I asked them straight up, I was like, can I ask you guys a question off the record? It's on the record now. Why Connecticut? And they said, it is easier. They said the process, the time frame is easier. We meet regularly. We address situations. So it's actually a positive on Connecticut, where other states, they kind of postpone. It was good this morning, Mark, that you were like, hey, do we have a quorum? Can we approve today? Because we actually, and that's the reason why we should have more individuals on the board. It's great because they stated to me that it's difficult to get the quorums, to have them meet, to get their licensure. So when you do go through all the hoops and then you're waiting for a board to meet, it's frustrating. So I just wanted to put that out to you guys. That I did hear that comment back, which is, I think, a positive for Connecticut.
Yeah, it is a positive. I'm glad you put the positive spin on that, Dom, and not the negative, because I know Massachusetts, they struggle to even meet.
Yeah.
Like they have applications just sitting there.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
They
have been, there's an undertow, and I don't know who it goes through, that, hey, if you put your time in and you've met all the criteria, go down to, and I don't think it's just us, it's probably Rhode Island, Connecticut, and it depends on where they are or where they're doing work.
That brings up another thing that I just wanted to get on there is we can discuss it as we move forward. We don't have to do it now, but once, as we move toward a full board, which will be the first full board in, I don't even know how many years, but decades. And Dom, it's going to happen. We're getting there.
I know. I'm excited.
I think we need to start potentially having like a sort of roles in our board as far as if I, get hit by a bus, somebody else has got to, step up and sort of make things move through and make sure we follow. So I don't know if it's a vice chair role. I don't know how the other boards do it, but we've never really had to worry about it because it's only been 3 or 4 for quite a long time.
No, this is
But I think it's
awesome.
something we need to start think about roles a little bit more as we have a full board. So I'll put that on the table. Maybe you file that under old business so we don't forget about it. But I think
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense.
No, it does. It does. Huge. And if you hear the UConn stuff, let us all know. I think that's something that, UConn's gone through a renaissance in the last probably 2 years with their program, I feel.
Yeah.
And I hope it's a
Yep.
good thing.
Yeah.
Just as, that's a whole separate project. As other universities are getting rid of landscape architecture, they're not thriving, but they're doing okay, which is good.
Yep. Yep. Okay, well, I
That's
think
it.
this was a very good meeting, very good discussion. Rachel, we're happy to have you. We want to keep you around so we have some
Absolutely.
consistency, please.
I'll try my best.
And if you have any questions, feel free to, you can reach out to this board. Janice, myself, Phil, Dom. If you have questions, I'd rather sort of talk it through and then, a couple weeks here or there before we just get in the meeting room. If you think that we need to have a special meeting, sort of work through some of this logistics on how we get our process out in the public eye, by all means say, hey, can we jump on a quick, have a special meeting or a quick call?
One comment I had, and I apologize, I just thought about it because we have two board members that couldn't make it. Do we want to, and this is up, I don't even know if DCP can accommodate this or not. Do we want to poll the commission on a time and day? This is good for me. I always work around it because we get the schedule for next year. When we start thinking about that schedule, do we want to find out? Because obviously having the whole board meet is going to be great. I don't know if that's possible, Rachel. Or should we just poll and say, hey, listen, Tuesdays are better? Or do you guys always do these on Wednesdays? Or I'm not sure the process, but something to think about for November as we start laying out that schedule for next year.
Yeah, I think we start getting into schedules around October, November time. So with that in mind, we'll kind of keep that in mind for when we go to do the scheduling. We can kind of see if it's easier to pull everybody, if there's a better day in mind for everyone to get them all in set. We can do that.
Because I believe our other board member, is she a first select woman? Is she a mayor?
Yeah, I believe so. Yep.
So I'd want to make sure she can partake in this too and bring a great perspective to it,
Can I ask a question? It's a very thorough agenda and all the paperwork was very thorough. Thank you. If someone is not able to be present, so therefore you really are hamstrung to be a quorum, can someone review it, send a letter, and make someone their proxy so that we can continue?
That's the reason why we want a fuller board.
Yeah, that's the reason why.
As long as we have 3, and we have, if we can fill 7, it's going to be like, I think this is the worst one because I'm technically off today, so I called in.
Unfortunately, November 21st is very close to Thanksgiving as well, and I would imagine there'll be people who will not be available.
Is it the 21st?
It's the 21st. We had originally thought maybe that was the one we would try to get in person, but then Janice, you bring up a good point that
it's right next to it's the Thanksgiving week that people may very possibly be taking off. I mean, it's a high possibility.
Mark, you and I might be at CRPA, so we might be together. We could just find a.
Oh,
the CRPA is November 20th and 21st at Mohegan, so we go to the Connecticut Recs and Park Association. So maybe we can.
Yeah.
You and I can just find a place to meet, but I'll be there. I know that, but it's usually winding down by the second day, so that's good.
Would that Monday be better?
I don't know what the process is in changing the date that's public. I think it only has to be 30 days. Well, I'll leave that up to DCP, but could we actually change the November meeting date? Rachel, I guess that's kind of on you.
I guess another thing we can talk about is I know we have other business to talk about. Usually it's not a lot. If we know going in, it's just approvals of the material, we can condense that meeting too. We could say.
We definitely could.
We're going to only go in, make sure everyone does their homework. And let's say we get 5 applications. We're going to go through the 5 applications. Because let's be honest, that's the most important part of our process is approving membership, people to be licensed. So there's, I think, a streamlining that can happen, Janice, that we could work with too as well. For us, I think I'm not speaking from Mark, but the 21st might be better than that Monday, the 20th for us.
Yeah,
Okay.
true.
I just may be traveling, but I wouldn't be, I will figure it out.
Okay.
I've done them for my cell phone before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my only issue is if I'm.
Yeah.
if I'm-
But the
if I'm-
streamline, knowing that we may not be discussing a whole bunch of topics and we're just going to go into it knowing we're approving
No.
or denying.
Well, I think
I
the
will
other,
know whether or not I'm on a plane relatively soon, and we can secure someone else's presence as well.
the other thing is, we can suspend the order, and if she is strapped, we can do the thing we need to do, which is get her in. She's here for the meeting portion, and then she can leave. And then if there is some smaller discussion that we're
Yeah,
not
we
going
can
to
move
act
the
on,
agenda.
if we're not going to act on anything, we wouldn't do that with you anyway. So we can do that as well.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. With that being said, thank you for everyone's attendance. We will end this meeting officially at 10:37. Everybody have a great rest of the week. And Rachel, we will hear from you if we get any news, or you're thinking of maybe you got some headway on schedule of a new meeting, or you got some feedback. Let's not wait till November. If you get any feedback on some of the things that we put back on you.
Yeah, if I get any answers, I'll certainly send them your guys' way, okay?
Great.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
You're welcome. Have a good
Thank you,
day.
everybody.
Bye.
Have a great rest of the week.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.